Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps. China has an estimated 15 million Catholics, 5 million belonging to the so-called official church and 11 million belonging to the underground church. China and the Vatican have been at loggerheads for decades, ever since the establishment in 1957 of the Catholic Patriotic Association, a communist government-operated organization which obliges bishops appointed by the government a certain religious freedom in exchange for their cooperation. This is done without any consultation to the Pope in Rome. The underground church operates as it can, despite severe persecution. To tell us more about the situation of the Catholic Church in China, it's my privilege today to welcome Father Bernardo Cervellera, Director of Asia News here in Rome. Father Bernardo, thank you for being with us and welcome.
Thanks for your invitation.
Father, what is the situation of the Catholic Church in China today?
The situation is quite brilliant, I would say, from the point of view of the conversions of the people. There are a lot of party members who become Catholics, and also professionals and university professors and middle-class people who convert themselves to Christianity and to the Catholic Church, because they see the Church as a vibrant church, as something modern, and also in some way near to the Western way of life. On the other hand, because the Catholic Church has a link with the Pope and a strong unity with the Universal Church, the Communist Party is always fearful that the Church can work for the breaking down of the Communist Party and of the Chinese government. So the Church is still persecuted in many ways.
Because the Catholics' allegiance is first to the faith and then to the party.
Yeah, that is, the Communist Party thinks that perhaps the Catholics are more faithful to the Pope than to the government. It's true that all the popes, and above all John Paul II and Benedict XVI, they have stressed that every good Chinese Catholic is also a good Chinese citizen, practically. But they are not satisfied yet.
Are there two churches in China? We hear about the so-called official church and the underground church. What has given rise to this situation?
Let us say that the Chinese government has always tried to build up a nationalistic church with the Patriotic Association, with the enrollment of bishops and priests and lay people, with the nominations of bishops. Up to now, we can say that all the people in the official church, and above all, most of the bishops in the official church, they are linked and they are reconciled with the Vatican, with the Pope. So they belong to the Catholic Church. And also all the underground church, of course, because they have always fought to be faithful to the Pope, they belong to the Catholic Church. So up to now, we say that there is only one church in China, which is the Catholic Church in China. Although the government and the patriotic associations still makes a difference between official or recognized church and unofficial or not recognized church. So the division stays into the hands of the government, not from the point of view of the church.
What is the relationship between the underground and the so-called official church?
Thanks God, the relationship between the official and the unofficial church is growing, and also the cooperation is much better. First of all, the Pope, the previous Pope and the present Pope, they are trying to sanate the situation of the relationship between bishops in the official church and the Holy See. And so they also ask these bishops to cooperate with the underground bishops in their diocese. So cooperation between bishops, celebrations of underground and above ground Catholics, And also the cults of the martyrs and the unity of the church is much more strongly felt.
And is there no danger for the underground church in, so to speak, revealing themselves in masses with the official church? Are there not still spies within the official church for the government?
No, I would say that it's not a problem of spies in the official church. I would say there are spies in the Patriotic Association because this cooperation is fought by the Patriotic Association, because the Patriotic Association can only stand as soon as the church is divided. So they have to control and to decide what is good to keep it and what is the official church that can have some freedom and what is the not official church that should be put into prison. But for the official church there is a cooperation. There are bishops who work together, who decide the pastoral plans together, who decide pilgrimages together and so on.
But there are still a number of underground bishops that remain in hiding, that are fearful, and priests and religious as well, fearful for their safety and security.
There are bishops who remain in hiding, but that they are known as priests, for example. They are not known as bishops, but in reality they are bishops. And there are also priests who remain in hiding. This is why I say that the Patriotic Association tries to catch these people and to put them into prison because they don't want that the underground and the above ground, they mix together.
What is the persecution that the underground, what would be typical persecution that underground Catholics might encounter?
Typical persecution is that because there are some regulations on religious activities, whatever rights or action is done by personnel who is not authorized by the government, in situations or in places which are not authorized by the government, so all these actions are illegals. And so a priest, an underground priest who celebrates a mass in a house or in a building which is not an official building can go to prison. And in fact, we have priests who are imprisoned because they have given unction to the sick, or they have given catechesis lessons to children, or they have made a retreat with the young seminarians, and so on. Which is this is very, very simple than to receive 3 years of labor camp because of these very simple actions, which are Catholic actions, but according to the Patriotic Association, this is an illegal fact which destroys the public order. Let me add also one thing, that there is also a persecution of the official church, on the official church, because also the official bishops are controlled day and night. They cannot go freely in their diocese visiting peoples unless the Patriotic Association, the secretary of the Patriotic Association can give them the permissions. They cannot have meetings with their priests without the consent of the Patriotic Association. They cannot do whatever they want for their pastoral work without submitting all the plans to the Patriotic Association. And even they are compelled to join in the political sessions every month or every 3 months. For example, a bishop has to stay for 1 week to 3 weeks to listen to the beauty of the Marxist ideology and the wonderful religious policy of the government.
Some Vatican officials have suggested that up to 85% of the official church bishops in China have been reconciled with the Vatican. What does it mean to be reconciled? And secondly, is this accurate to your knowledge?
No, it is quite accurate, I would say. And what does it mean? It means that even if these bishops of the official church, they have been nominated by the party, these bishops have written a letter of a letter to the Pope asking for forgiveness for their situations, and they ask for reconciliation. The magnanimous John Paul II and also the present Pope, Benedict XVI, they have reconciled themselves with these bishops, and in exchange and as a sign of unity, they send to them a ring and a cross as a sign of communion. In this way, these bishops, they become real Catholic bishop of the Universal Church. What is important is that this process has gone on for more than 20 years, practically. Just after the opening of China to the international world, after the death of Mao Zedong, the bishops in China have started realizing that they cannot live without a link with the Pope.
This reconciliation, however, still remains secret. Or does the Chinese government, or is the Chinese government becoming aware of the bishops that have become reconciled with the Vatican?
Yeah, the Chinese government knows, nowadays knows that most of the bishops in the official church, they are linked and they follow the indications of the popes. Also, the new ordinations of the new bishops, they have been performed with the authorization of the Holy See, and the candidates also are chosen by the Vatican and how can I say accepted by the government. The point is that nowadays the government cannot do in another way, because the faithful in China, if the bishops are not recognized by the Vatican and if the bishops are not reconciled with the Vatican, they don't accept their sacraments, they don't accept to join in their celebrations. We have an example, Monsignor Futieshan, the Bishop of Beijing, is one of the few who are not reconciled with the Vatican. But whenever he celebrates the Mass, the faithful, they go away from the Mass. And so happens in all the dioceses in China, if there are bishops who are not reconciled with the Pope. So, how can I say, they are compelled, the government is compelled to accept a certain influence and a certain link with the Vatican.
But this must be an uncomfortable trend for the government in China, because it's a progression that seemingly is increasing.
For the Chinese government, I really don't know, because the Chinese government first needs stability. This is its needs. Its need. It is stability. And because of this, they would accept also a certain influence of the Vatican on the Catholic Church, provided that this link doesn't produce a revolution into the society, I could say a political revolution into the society. This situation is more dangerous for the Patriotic Association, because the Patriotic Association has worked for around 50 years in order to build up a nationalistic church, and the result is a church which is strongly linked with the Pope.
The newspaper La Civita Cattolica came out with a suggestion that in fact the Vatican did not need anymore to ordain bishops of the underground church, because in any case the official church was moving towards full union with Rome. Is this a statement that you would also make, or is this too optimistic?
It seems to me that it is too optimistic. That is, I would wait for the Chinese government to guarantee the full freedom of religion to the Catholic Church in China before, how can I say, deciding in one way or the other. It is true that also into the underground church there is a certain thought that is they ask the Chinese government to be recognized as bishops or as priests, but they ask the Chinese government not to oblige them to sign into the Patriotic Association, because they say that that is, if the government wants to know what is my job, what I'm doing, and so on, this is right, and this is also a good thing that the government can know what is my activity. But if the government tries to change my faith, and so my relationship with the Pope, this is not right, because this belongs to my freedom of religion. And so there are some bishops who have been recognized by the government, and they are not compelled to belong to the Patriotic Association. And I think this one will be also the main way of the unofficial, but also the official church, because also the official church, they always ask the government to deal directly with them, the bishops, and not through the Patriotic Association. So I think that the Patriotic Association is destined to be eliminated.
Diplomatic relations. The Vatican is now opening consideration of diplomatic relations officially with the Chinese government at the expense of Taiwan. Is this not China playing poker with the Vatican? On one hand, we offer you this. On the other hand, we would like from the Vatican recognition that Taiwan is part of China.
I would say that China is doing much more. That is, China is always asked that the Vatican breaks up the relationship before any dialogue for the diplomatic relationship, while the Vatican has always stressed that the initial dialogue should start without any precondition. Of course, the Chinese government is interested in isolating Taiwan, but I would say it's not the most important thing for China. The most important thing is to be sure that the Catholic Church is not a counter-revolutionary organization who can put upside down the government. What the government fears most is to lose its power. So from the point of view of the Taiwan problem, I think that a way can be always found. For example, China accepts that in the WHO there is a Taiwan representative. In the Olympic Committee, they accept that there is a Taiwan, even China Taipei representative. So I think that a new name or a new way of dealing with Taiwan and with China can be found. Most of the Western countries, they have business relationship with Taiwan through the so-called cultural offices, and they still have diplomatic relationship with China.
Does the Vatican, in its interest or in its desire to normalize relations with China and help develop the Catholic Church in China, does it not risk running the same mistake as the Vatican did with Russia during the period of the Ostpolitik, when it sought appeasement and coexistence with the communist government? Is this not a risk that the Vatican is running?
My goodness, you should ask to Vatican officials. I'm not a Vatican official, so I just say what it seems to me. Yeah, perhaps we can say that there is a stream, a very optimistic stream in the Secretary of State in the Vatican, and ready to appease every problem with the Chinese government. On the other hand, I think that the Pope himself has always stressed for total freedom of religion. So I don't think that there will be a kind of discount on the freedom of religion. From what I know also into the Chinese church, among Chinese bishops, official and unofficials, they've always said that the Vatican should not give up its requests of total freedom of religion just in order to have diplomatic relationship. One official bishop once told me that we can wait for ages for diplomatic relationship because the Catholic Church in China up to now can have a relationship with the Pope in secretly or publicly. Anyway, they can have a relationship with the Pope. So this is enough for the life of the Church. Diplomatic relationship can come later, but only when China will be ready to give all the freedom of religion.
It seems that Lu Baiyan, the vice president of the Catholic Patriotic Association, is trying to stop these efforts at reconciliation between the Vatican and China. What is his fear? Why is he putting stumbling blocks in here?
You know, into the Patriotic Association in the last decade have arrived many secretaries who are atheistic and who are very Stalinist in their mentality. So they still see China as a place where religion should be fought or should be controlled, strongly controlled. And instead, this distension of the relationship between China government and the Vatican, and this unity in the Catholic Church between officials and unofficials makes the Patriotic Association useless. So they are working for their bread. They are working for their job practically.
Monsignor Paul He, a new appointment to the official, as a bishop to the official church. He stated that he would fight with every fiber to be a good Catholic. I'm paraphrasing, but he made a very strong declaration about his faith. Is this the new fiber of the official Catholic Church bishop? And does this mean? Will the official, the association, Catholic Patriotic Association, implode because of the quality of these new bishops?
This is what is happening. It is the strength of the Chinese faithful, which helps also bishops to become more decided. Bishops, they have seen that if they don't have faith and they don't have the relationship with the Pope, they are abandoned by the faithful. And so they are obliged to be more heroic. I would say that many bishops, many Chinese bishops I know, they are really martyrs, witnesses of faith. They have suffered tortures, they have suffered prisons, they have suffered humiliations as common workers for years. So I think there are also very good bishops, but their strength is the faith of the Catholic people.
What is the greatest need of the Catholic Church in China today?
Definitely the freedom of religion, and we should work from outside, asking the Chinese government to provide total freedom of religion for the Church. Total freedom of religion means freedom of publishing everything, freedom of meeting everywhere, and freedom of traveling. So in order to get a relationship with the Pope and with the Universal Church. On the other hand, the Chinese government and the Chinese society could be enriched by the charities, the Catholic charities in in the countryside in China, which are so poor, and they could have an international help in case of need.
Father Bernardo Cervellera, thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today on our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more information or know how you can help the Catholic Church in China, I would encourage you to consider the contact information at the end of this program. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.